So I teed myself up to have a wee chat about this today after watching Celtic Aberdeen at the weekend. We've seen the league debut of Aaron Mooy. He came on as a substitute for Matt O'Reilly at the 82nd minute or something like that. And I found that a real tell of what we should expect the manager's perception is on Mooy's role within the squad. With Ideguchi being injured as well, I did find that quite telling, as well as the impact it had or didn't have on what McGregor did. But also today, it comes out James McCarthy is unhappy at the club and he's now pushing to leave, with offers being readied for the defensive midfielder. So in the video today, guys, we're going to be talking about the midfield situation at Celtic, exactly what we learned from Aberdeen with the personnel that were and were not involved, and exactly what I think we're going to see progress over the next couple of days, the next week or so, when it comes to the midfield options for Celtic. At any point in the video today, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe, share, retweet, all the good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and let's get stuck into it. If you could, hit the subscribe button. I do daily global football content, everything from Wonder Kids and Rising Star Managers to fantasy football and watch-alongs. The most popular content on the channel is transfer insights, Celtic analysis and SoRare tutorials. If you are new to SoRare and you haven't opened your account yet, there's a link in the description of this video. By clicking on that link, you'll get yourself a free limited card once you've bought 5 from the market, supporting all the content on Quinny 3001 and SoRare TV, and I thank you in advance if you do so. If you do have any further questions or need any advice, then just reach out to me in the comment section of the video. Now, I don't really know exactly where to start with this, right? So with the midfield that we've seen on the weekend there, it was very much as anticipated. Everyone called it McGregor, Rio and O'Reilly, okay? Rio was quite notably very, I would probably say, wasteful. The manager's word was wasteful, I beg your pardon. I'd probably say dysfunctional. And what I mean by dysfunctional was he didn't really read the situation that the team had worked itself into, with different plays where we're getting ourselves into really good positions, and he was knocking like stupid balls back and just not completing the move as effectively as he should have been. And when you're in this position here, it's when we had a couple of counter-attacks come from Aberdeen. There wasn't too many of them, and because of the press, we were able to turn the ball over quite effectively. But when we don't have that midfield really linking up with each other in terms of O'Reilly, Hatate and McGregor, between the three of them, they really didn't pass the ball to each other and between each other very often, if ever, in the match. And when they did, particularly around this kind of zone, is when we got some of our best action. Now, for me, where the game really kind of changed around for the midfield was the introduction of Turnbull. When Turnbull actually came onto the pitch, he was making much more functional plays with the guys like O'Reilly, Jota and it wasn't Maida because it was Abada and Giakoumakis. But when Turnbull came on, he was much more disruptive in these kind of zones here, much like O'Reilly had been for the large part of the game. A lot of O'Reilly's really good attacking play that we were focusing through to him was around these kind of positions here, and he was really dictating the play and playing balls. And it was only really the strikers that were getting involved with O'Reilly. We didn't really have much of a presence from Rio, and subsequently McGregor was kind of pinned a bit further back by the position that Rio had taken up. But when we seen Turnbull actually get into the mix with some of this play as well, we then started to see McGregor come a bit forward. Taylor and Juranovic then did much better in this inverted fullback situation, and then the fullbacks were obviously just there to sweep up and make sure there wasn't any counter-attacks or whatever going on. And that's, we had a nice little 10-minute spell. Now, for me, the real discovery in terms of the manager's perception on the midfield strength and where the team goes forward was when we did see O'Reilly come off. Now, when we see O'Reilly come off, I'm sitting there waiting to see who comes on. Is it McCarthy? Is it Mooy? Right? And then exactly how does the midfield then kind of shape and change around that? So when O'Reilly comes off for Mooy and Mooy stays in the same position, what I've been basically referring to is the Rogic role since Postecoglu's been in, but operating on this right attacking side of midfield here. And the one or two involvements in the match he had geographically were in this kind of zone here. He played one really nice ball in behind the back line. I can't remember who it was for exactly, but it came close. It was a good play. But I would have liked at the 83rd minute, at that point in the game, Mooy didn't seem to have much in the tank. Like, he did seem quite... It seemed like he was panting quite quickly in the match, and fair enough, having 7 minutes at the end of the game, it's an odd tempo and you're just warmed up to come on, everyone's at full pace, etc. I get it. He's behind in pre-season, I get it. With that in mind, I would have thought this kind of thing would have been a possibility where we might have seen Mooy in that protector role, and then we see the opportunity to get McGregor a bit further forward. Now, if the manager isn't going to do that at 1-0 at home to Aberdeen when we're very comfortable, then he obviously doesn't trust Mooy extensively to do that job for him, because McGregor had not put a foot wrong in the game and he could have definitely influenced the match going forward. He was definitely up to the tempo of the match and the rhythm and all that good stuff. So to keep McGregor in situ, playing it safe, as I'm basically thinking of this, the manager's played it safe, kept McGregor where he is, don't fuck about, keep the clean sheet, which is fair enough, I can get behind that as well, and we just put Mooys somewhere he's comfortable, he can't wreck the game, maybe he can get something for us, I can get that. But it further highlights, if Mooy isn't going to be the rotation relief for McGregor in any capacity, either taking his spot on the pitch and let McGregor take a breather, or take his actual role in the team and allow McGregor a bit more freedom to go and influence the match and join in with the play, then we are very, very, very short in this centre of the area of the pitch. Because with Ideguchi being out injured as well, Ideguchi is also, in the infrequent spells he's been on, done the exact same thing as Mooy. Been on this right attack inside the midfield and had 5 or 7 minutes here or there. We don't really know the full discovery on either of those guys defensively, and it doesn't seem like the manager is prepared to test them out at home at Motherwell in the last game of the season, or at home at Aberdeen Flag Day with 7 minutes to go when we're cruising. But point remains, clean sheet is valuable to the manager and more goals is something that we're after. So fresh attacking legs, again, I can understand the decisions that have been taken, but it's the insight I think this gives into us. So McCarthy didn't come off the bench at all, McGregor played 90 minutes, which we kind of expect most of the time, but we do expect that we need a different type of defensive midfielder in here. Someone that when the attack is in full flow, something akin to this when Jota's on the ball, when we play teams in Europe, or when we play Rangers on their day, or when we're even just in a weakened state, maybe we don't have all the attacking options, maybe we've had a long stretch of fixtures and a lot of the guys are really getting pushed to the limit physically, we need somebody that can come in here that can just really rest in between Starfelt and Vickers and even Juranovic in this kind of role here, give them a bit more of the freedom. Because like I said, when Juranovic and Taylor really come into that inverted role is when we really got some good spells in the second half, and that's a nice formation, that's a nice tactic, right? But it's very clunky, because if you're playing a Champions League or Europa League team and they've got the pace to turn that ball over and smash it for somebody with some good pace on the counter-attack, then, you know, Welsh, Carter Vickers, and then even McGregor, are, you know, we're then exposing ourselves defensively, and we can be, and probably will be, caught out by that kind of thing, by teams that are switched on to it and have the quality and pace and delivery to execute that type of move. So we definitely need somebody that we can envisage can give McGregor some rotation relief, as well as can make us a bit more defensively rigid. I think with all the speculation that we've had, I think we're getting heavily linked to this Israeli guy again, Fanny. I don't know if that's going to come through or not, but the most concrete link of something that didn't happen this summer was Vinicius Souza, and using him as like the archetype, he went to Espanyol, of course, and he replaced a guy by the name of Yangel Herrera, who's also in the City Football Group. He's currently owned by Manchester City. He's in the last year of his contract, valued around £6 million or dollars or something like that. There's been no transfer speculation around him. I think he could be a name we could get linked to. We've obviously been linked very closely to Claudio Gomez of Manchester City also, but I do feel that if we are going to release McCarthy in terms of getting him off the wage budget, we're going to sell him or loan him out, do something, along with the pressure we've relieved on the wage budget with the guys like Bolingoli and whoever else over the window, Bitton, Rogic. It feels like the manager's words where it's about the right person really comes into this role, because if you're going to bring somebody else in to operate in that McGregor space, maybe give McGregor the opportunity to go further on the pitch, or even just rest and rotate and play different tactics in Europe, then it has to be a win. It's not a transfer we can really gamble on. It's not one that we can really take much of a speculative punt on. It's a transfer that we need to spend some real money on and needs to work unquestionably. And because Celtic, especially over the last year, have been scouring the globe, it is really hard to pinpoint exactly what type of players they will be going for in terms of, will we go back to Japan again? Will we be back in South America? Will we go around scratching around all the corners of Europe to try and find like a Wanyama type or something, you know? So we'll be keeping our ear to the ground with it, and hopefully we'll see some action. I think we'll see something over the next week or two. I definitely think the manager, by the time we get to, you know, the end of this month, by the time we get to end August, of course the transfer window shuts, but the sooner the better. Ange Postecoglu and Celtic, the business we've been doing, it's not about taking our time, it's not about messing around, it's about getting swift moves for the right people in, nice and quick. The last thing I want to bring up from the midfielders that we got any kind of glimpse or insight into over the weekend is, one thing I've been kind of waiting to see is us really looking a bit more like this in terms of, can we stay a bit deeper, a bit more compact, actually control the ball by passing between two midfielders as well as the back line to get the team to the halfway line, where we can then go on and create by making some overlapping runs and third man entries into the box, that sort of thing. And I do think for the periods in the match where Hatate was probably the most involved, geographically, this was much similar to the sort of positions that we've seen both of these players taking up, and O'Reilly was quite free reigning in where he was able to pick up different pockets in the attack. So I do think we've seen a little early inclination of maybe a little further evolution on the tactics that might come to show itself a wee bit more as the season rolls on. But for the most part, this is obviously the sort of balance that we have. But I did see a good few occasions in the match where Hatate especially would be coming into this kind of zone here to look to get involved in play. And subsequently then O'Reilly was free to roam around and get into different pockets. And that's when we were focusing all the attacks through O'Reilly, and it really did feel like everything really good was coming through him in these kind of zones here for all the runners into the box and overlaps and whatever. And that evolution might eventually point itself to why Edouard Michou's name hasn't went away, and it kind of resurfaced once or twice. So maybe there isn't going to be that archetype destroyer. Maybe we're just going to keep getting all action midfielders, which is what we've really got at the club at the moment. And again, that's a mould and a profile of midfield that I can get really excited by. And if we do have a full midfield of all action guys that can do everything, then we've got great competition for places and we've got a great tempo with any combination that starts. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share and retweet and all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Hail, hail. Bye bye.